Thank you, Krista.
Hello, everybody. Apologize for the delay. We had some quorum issues, but we are all ready to go. Western Hills Water District meeting of the Board of Directors, Wednesday, March 9th, 2022. It is 4:15 p.m. We are reconvening to our open session. There's no reportable actions taken during the closed session. So we are moving to motion to approve our consent calendar. All matters listed hereunder shall be acted upon by a single vote of the board. There will be no individual discussion of these items unless a member of the board or the public so requests, in which event the matter shall be removed from the consent calendar and considered as a separate agenda item. So I make a motion to approve the February 2022 checks and warrants, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting from February 9th, 2022, and approval of resolution number 2022-13, a resolution of the Western Hills Water District making findings in accordance with AB 361 and Government Code Section 54953E, authorizing remote meetings. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Julie? Julie? Julie, we need an answer. Is her audio muted?
No, she might not be hearing us though.
Mark, could you text her and have her give an aye or a nay?
I mean, I genuinely don't know if the connection's working.
I see her.
Yeah, that doesn't mean much.
Folks, bear with us. This was one of the reasons we were having a problem earlier. We've been having connectivity issues. If we are not able to have Julie available, we will have to close the meeting and we will have to have a special meeting here in the next week.
I texted her.
We'll hang on for a couple.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it looks like she went off and is coming back in.
Yeah, that's what I said. Or I said basically you should rejoin because I don't think it was a reliable connection.
Sweet. Thank you, Mr. Blessing.
No problem.
There is somebody waiting.
There's a galaxy waiting. I'll admit that.
She wouldn't be this call-in user one, right?
No, it'll be identified by her phone number.
Okay.
We can wait.
Technology. Can't live with it, can't live without it. There we go. Maybe iPhone is entering.
Is it possible to call for someone to call and put her on speakerphone?
Only if they're with her.
I mean, one of you guys that's logged in.
Oh, I see what you're saying. A relay. Let me see.
Was that Ashley?
Yes.
Yes.
Ah, I recognized your voice.
I'm going back on mute.
Thank you for the suggestion. I'm gonna try calling her right now. Okay, go ahead, Julie. Can you go ahead and talk? Oh, nope. I just dropped the call. She's in a poor coverage area right now. Oh, this isn't good. Okay, I did get a moment to speak with her. She is trying to dial back into the meeting. She has terrible cell coverage wherever she is, and that's why our call was just dropped, unfortunately. If she calls me back, I'll try to do the speaker microphone relay.
And if need be, we can reread our consent calendar motion for her if she didn't hear it.
Time may be of the essence, so you might just ask if she
Yes.
votes on number 5.
Sorry, folks.
Hey, Matt, I have Julie here on speaker. Go ahead, Julie. Can you speak?
Okay, yes,
Julie, did you hear me read the consent calendar?
no,
Okay, it's motions A, B, and C. It's the February 2022 checks and warrants, the regular meeting of February 9th, 2022 regular meeting, and resolution 2022-13 for finding in accordance with AB 361, the government code section 49953-E, authorizing remote meetings. And we have 2 ayes, and we just need you as an aye or a nay.
I'm good with the 1 and 3. I haven't read the minutes on the other one, so I don't know if I should vote on it yet, or can we vote on it next month?
For the minutes?
Yeah,
Okay. We would have to remove.
yeah,
So I'm going to remove item B from our minutes or from our consent calendar. I'm going to remove item B, and we will put item B, the regular meeting of February 9th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. We will move that till the April meeting. So there will be no minutes posted as approved by the board. And so removing that, then the consent calendar A and C, are you an aye on that?
yeah, that's fine.
All right, Chris, are you an aye on that?
Yeah, I'm an aye. We're good.
Okay.
And I'm an aye as
hadn't
well.
had it. Yeah. Okay.
All right, moving to action item 6, consideration and approval of resolution number 2022-10, resolution of the Western Hills Water District, reapproval of expenditures of approximately $50,000 of Diablo Grande Community Facility District Number 1 Melrose Bond Refinance proceeds for the payment of immediate Western Hills Water District expenses. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second
Second.
that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Matt, I need to speak up on this matter.
Go ahead, Mark.
I appreciate the board approving it, but I'm gonna, with your approval, not transfer funds immediately until I get a handle as far as what actually needs to be paid. And
That's correct. Mark, you don't have to worry about that. You only
Okay.
have to put in the money that is actually needed. We approve the 50,000. If you don't need 50,000, you don't have to use 50,000.
all right, thank you.
You are welcome. So motion to approve. It was an aye from Chris, it was an aye from Julie, and it's an aye from me.
Right.
Point B, consideration and approval of resolution number 2022-07, resolution of the Western Hills Water District regarding approval of expenditures of approximately $13,820.92 to Arnado Construction for Diablo Grande Community Facility District Number 1 Melrose Bond Refinance proceeds for Diablo Grande Parkway repairs. This is the one that we've talked about in 2 meetings now. We have Garrett on the line, and if we can just open up his mic. We've had some questions for him, and he is here to discuss this. Hello, Garrett. How are you?
Good, how are you? Can
I'm
you hear
doing
me?
good.
You can hear me
Um,
good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
you're
do.
good.
So we have a couple questions. We're trying to figure out, this has happened before we were all on this board. This is a situation that occurred over 3 years ago. We're trying to figure out, number one, why it took 3 years for
Hey,
us.
Julie,
to
is
find
the
out.
audio okay or is it crap?
No, it's okay.
All right, I'm trying my best here.
Hey, Chris,
That's okay.
I promise.
Chris,
Good.
we're in the board meeting. Hello.
Hey, sorry about that.
That's okay. So Garrett, we're just trying to figure out why it took 3 years for us to find out that you were owed money. Was there a paper trail that fell apart, or just a little bit of a background of the situation and why 3 years later we're finding out about it?
So 2 things, the data work occurred sometime, I believe, middle of 2019. I was unaware that I had not billed this work. So it sat, the beginning of the breakdown was on my end. And I don't recall, I'd have to go through the dates. Once I realized, I created the invoice. I think I had contacted Jerry Phillips, was still employed by the district. He was the guy that had contacted me to do the repair work. I think I sent the bill to him. Somewhere I realized that Jerry no longer worked there. Then I think it went next to Ashley Wilkins. And she and I traded conversations, emails back and forth. And it never got paid at that point. And then I finally spoke to, more recently, to Ron Demers. And that's how I ended up in front of you. So it was kind of a combination of things.
Awesome. Okay. So quick question on the repair. We noticed that when we were looking over the repairs, and forgive us, again, we weren't around during this period. It showed that you guys made a repair, and then I guess the pipe ruptured or something. It didn't hold the way it needed to or something like that. So you had to refix it. And we're trying to figure out why that was not a warranted kind of situation. Why is that something that we're having to refix if you did the work and it wasn't done correctly or properly? We don't know. We're trying to
Yeah,
figure it out.
I understand. So I was called out by Jerry, just kind of on a T&M basis. The repair was out in front of your office. I don't remember the name of the street.
Mhm.
What it was, it was an area that had been leaking for quite some time. And by the time we came out to dig down and investigate what the problem was, turns out it was an inline gate valve. And I don't know what happened. It might have been historical settlement, or I don't know, but there was a deviation in the pipeline. So the pipe was no longer in a straight horizontal and vertical alignment, if you will. And that's what actually kind of popped this valve off. So we dug down, the solution at the time was to remove the valve because it was determined that it's not necessarily needed in that location because they had valves both up and downstream from it. But there was still a vertical deviation that had to be addressed. And the decision at the time, best we could do is put a coupler on each end and put a section of pipe in without tearing the street up and straightening the pipe back out. So the repair was made within this little surgical hole that we dug. We backfilled, kind of, this is all under working with Jerry. You know, is this the approved method? Yes. What subsequently, what I learned, if we could have done it over again, is we would have removed the pipe, removed a considerable amount of the saturated subgrade below that pipe. Because after we put it back together, we pressure tested, everything was fine. This leak developed a couple of days later, and I think it was on account of the weight of the backfill. So the subgrade had been so saturated below it that we should have removed more material. But it was kind of done in conjunction with Jerry and kind of at his direction. I was simply there kind of on a T&M basis.
Okay. Julie, do you have any questions for him?
Well, my only question is, you were just saying that it was done on account of the backfill?
Yeah, so the weight of the backfill, I believe, is what,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
so the pipe was pressure tested. When I say pressure tested, we later that evening when the work was done, we turned the system back on and everything appeared to be fine. I think it was actually for a couple of days. I believe it must have been the weight of the backfill because it had been leaking for so long, the ground around it was saturated. So I believe the weight of the backfill kind of pushed the repair down into the subgrade. That's my best guess as to what happened, because the fix of it was to basically remove everything we'd already done, dig out additional. We added a different aggregate product. It was a 3/4 crushed rock. The initial repair we were trying to use, the district had a stockpile of material in a little laydown yard that was just down the hill from us. So we were trying to use the district's materials that you already had on site. The second repair, you can see in the invoice, we actually purchased a half a load of 3/4 crushed rock, which is generally used in our business to try to stabilize situations like this. I think the thought all along was trying to minimize the damage to, or the financial implications of this repair to the district and do it as cost effectively as we could. And turns out that wasn't, we should have spent the money, dug it out, put rock, because we ended up having to do it anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Chris,
So what's your thought?
Chris,
Hey,
what-
Ron, is Ron, go ahead.
Julie's attempting to ask another question. Go ahead, Julie.
No, I was just wondering if Ron's on the phone, if Ron can, Ron obviously is the would have the wherewithal to give us a little bit of lead on this.
So the question is, Ron, do you have anything you'd like to add?
The only thing I could say is best I can remember is that thing was leaking for like a month before Garrett ever came out there. So like you said, the ground was just saturated, and there's not really, I don't believe anybody's at fault for anything. It's just the ground was saturated, and
Right.
that's.
Ron, I can just, sorry for interrupting, but the true cost of actually repairing that in a perfect condition would have far exceeded $13,000, because it would have involved probably tearing your street back 20 feet each way or more to get the pipe back into a perfect alignment and take care of all the saturation. So I think we're trying to do the best we could with a small hole and trying to minimize the cost impact.
all right, well, I appreciate you coming in and talking to us about this. Chris and Julie, are we ready to approve or disapprove, or do we want to table for future discussions this issue? What are you guys
Matt,
thinking?
I need to speak up on this matter, please.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, financial officer of this district, we're strapped heavily financially. And if this board is to approve payment of this, I would respectfully request that we offer a payment plan to the contractor on this matter. And hopefully that would be an acceptable solution to get it paid up. That's my opinion.
Garrett, what do you think about that? Would, if the board does take up this tonight and discuss this and want to approve it, would you be open to something like that?
Yeah, obviously I have culpability here in that it got past me initially. And it's gone on long. It's not an amount of money that's going to materially affect me. It's just a matter of business. I'm trying to close out old orders where I've made an error. If you have a payment plan, I'm more than happy to work with you on it. So,
Mark, what would you think a fair payment plan would look like off the top of your head?
I'm thinking 1,000 a month.
sure.
I'm sorry, what?
$1,000 a month.
Garrett, what do you think about that?
Yeah, if you guys are strapped, I understand your predicament. So if 1,000 a month is what you can afford, that's fine with me.
All right, so Chris, Julie, is this something that we want to move on this evening, or where you guys stand on this?
Go ahead, Julie.
I'm good with it, and it would be great if he accepted a payment plan, and then in the next few months, as hopefully other things get sorted out, if at that time, then maybe Mark can let us know if we can pay you off sooner. So I would agree to that if and I'm okay. He did the work. We, definitely want to get him paid.
Yeah. All right. So I would under section B of our action items for the approval of resolution number 2022-07, resolution of Western Hills Water District approval of expenditure of approximately $1,000 a month paid to Armando Construction for the Diablo Grande Community Facility District Number 1 Melrose bond refinance proceeds for Diablo Grande Parkway repairs until the $13,820.92 is paid in full. And if we can pay it off sooner, we will. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, Mr. Garnett, thank you for showing up, and we're going to get you paid.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for coming.
You bet. Can I leave the meeting?
You may.
Right on. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks.
All right, and then we move to C, consideration and approval of resolution number 2022-11, resolution of the Western Hills Water District approval of expenditures of approximately $4,400 of Diablo Grande Community Facility District Number 1 Melrose bond refinance proceeds for BNY Mellon Consultants. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Matt, I'd like to speak up on this item since I'm gonna have to pay this out of the account.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Go
do what
ahead.
I can. I'm gonna do what I can, let the public know. I'm gonna do what I can to work with the Bank of New York as far as a payment plan of some sort also. So I appreciate the authority to pay them, but just to let everybody know, I'm gonna do my best to put this off as long as I can.
Okay, so Mark, the board has to make these decisions. As an officer, you have to go by what the board votes on.
That's
So
fine.
if-
Okay, listen,
if we
that's
wanna-
fine. I get that. I'm just telling you right now that that's what I'd like to do.
Mark,
If you
you're
wanna
out
change
of
it, that's
order.
fine.
Mark, you're out of order. I'm telling you that if you want to make
Well-
a motion, if you want us to make a motion to
Yes,
pay
that's what I'm
BNY
asking you.
Mellon
I'm asking you to make a motion.
to pay them how much?
I don't know yet. I have to have a discussion.
Okay,
with-
well, you've had this agenda before you. We have to make a decision on paying
Okay,
them.
all right.
They
That's
have
fine.
to be paid. So the board is making a decision tonight on whether to pay them their full amount or partial amount. I have no problems either way, but we have to have a number. So if you'd like to put a number before us, we can.
Why don't, Mark, if Bank of New York, do they have a deadline that they need to be paid by? Or,
I haven't gotten a definitive answer out of them. And this was
Okay.
something that I was considering after I had sent up the agenda item.
okay,
Um,
so why don't we do this? Can I make a motion that we, pay them the first $1,000 out of this? And even though we approve the amount to be paid, we're gonna pay them, but let's just pay them 1,000 this month. And then at the next meeting, determine the remaining amount.
Or do we just table it and have Mark work out the numbers? Because this, Mark, you asked.
I know.
You
and
asked
I-
the board secretary to put this number in.
I understand and respect that.
Right,
but-
so we just, yeah, that's okay, but we
Yeah.
can table it and have you talk to BN, Mellon and find out what amount that they would like each month or what have you, and we can do that.
Yeah,
We just need to table it to make it easier.
okay.
Hang on, before you do any of that, I do want to point out that you guys did approve C, so you need a motion to amend what has already been approved. Just pointing that out.
Wait, we didn't approve, did we?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We all said aye.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we want to amend then C to table it?
Yes.
Yes, let's table it. Let me get with the Bank of New York.
Chris, are you in
Yep.
agreement with tabling it?
Yes.
We have to
Yes.
have the board members agree.
Yes.
Okay, so let's amend point C on the action items. Make a motion to amend the approval to tabling resolution number 2022-11 regarding the expenditure of approximately $4,400 of Diablo Grande Facility District Number 1 Melrose Bond refinance proceeds to BNY Mellon Consultants.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, perfect.
Thank
All
you.
right, so once you get the number, then we'll get that number into April's meeting, Mark.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, now before I read D, are we good with those numbers?
I don't yet even know what this is for. I'll go ahead.
This
and do
is
that.
Burke Williams and Sorsons for legal services rendered.
Yes. Yeah, this is something that we definitely need to pay,
Okay,
especially in consideration we have a court date coming up here.
right, and we can't discuss anything legal on this open meeting, but I
Yes.
just want to make sure that number is correct.
Yes, I understand.
Fair enough.
Okay, consideration and make a motion to consider an approval of resolution number 2022-12, resolution of the Western Hills Water District regarding approval of expenditure of approximately $36,728.07 of Diablo Grande Community Facility District Number 1 Melrose Bond refinance proceeds to Burke, Williams, and Sorensen for legal services. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. So David, you're in the report section regarding the notice from Stanislaus County regarding the changing of the general election dates. Would you like to take it from here, sir?
Yeah, just really quickly, as the board recalls, there was a petition circulated in the district, and upon certification of that petition, the Western Hills Water District Board was required to adopt their own findings and resolution that converted the district from a landowner voting district to a residential election. That was provided to the county. The county sent a notice to Western Hills stating that there was an item before the Board of Supervisors actually last night where the Board of Supervisors authorized their elections department to officially go ahead and change that election. So the next election for Western Hills, as we had anticipated, will be in November. of this year, and it will be on even years starting moving forward. And so any questions with that can go ahead and be sent to Stanislaus County Elections Department.
Excellent. And just for everybody in the community to know that even though the county is running our elections, the Western Hills Water District still pays for all elections. So the election coming up in November, I believe, is somewhere around the $9,000 cost. That's why we put it onto the even year when the main elections are happening in the county and in the country for that matter. So it'll only be about $8,000 to $9,000, something like that, dollars to the district. However, for example, with the recall election that has been discussed up here, that is going to cost the district about $30,000 to run. So anytime there's an election, even though the county is running it, I just want everybody in the county, the community to understand that the district has to pay the county for those services. So just for everybody to keep that in mind as we are in a residential voting system now. Okay. Anybody else have any kind of reports that they would like to bring up? I don't believe anybody submitted anything to the board secretary, but just checking.
Not me. Julie?
All right. Julie?
No.
All righty. Okay, so we're at point 8, public comments section. Interested persons in the audience by teleconference are welcome to introduce any topic within the district's jurisdiction. Matters presented under this agenda item may be discussed, but no action can be taken by any of the board at this meeting except for the following. We can briefly respond to the statement made or questions raised. We can ask a question for clarification. We can provide a reference to staff or other resources for factual information. We can request staff to report back at a subsequent meeting, or a board member or the board itself may take action to direct staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. We're going to allow 1 minute for each person that would like to speak. Please know that you're going to get one turn. We are not going to just keep going back and back and back and have a circular communication. So just make sure you state everything you want to state in that minute. And then again, we will follow the ABCDE procedures. So 1 minute per anybody who would like to speak. And you just raise your hand and we will open up the mic to you.
May I speak?
I think we had,
Hello?
wait, who just raised their hand? Wait, somebody, Bruin?
There you go.
Yeah, I missed last month's meeting. I was trying to find it on YouTube, but was that going to be posted or?
Yeah, that meeting did not get recorded.
Is there a reason why?
It was an accident. It did not record. Technical difficulties, I guess.
Oh, okay. Can I get just a small recap? Because I missed it last month, so I'm trying to catch up.
I don't know how to recap the last
We
meeting.
delayed posting them. We delayed approving the minutes. So next month
Yeah.
it should come out. And they'll
Unfortunately,
be posted on the website, but that's basically the record of the meeting.
we will get them out next
The
month.
minutes are delayed though?
The minutes got delayed today because one of our board members was not able to read through them and, make sure that they were correct. So we're delaying it until next month. So in next month's meeting, we will approve last month's minutes, and then you'll be able to recap from the minutes.
Okay, was there anything important that I missed?
I think everything on a board meeting is important, so I'm the wrong person to ask. I think every single thing on the board is important. So you'll have to read the minutes, and I guess that would be the best answer for you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Andrea's hand is up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have a couple questions that I need to ask. Is Linda still a director? I didn't see her on the last 2 meetings. And because I'm still showing her on the agenda as a director. And the other question is, where exactly do we stand with Kern, the negotiation? And what's our allocation for water at this point? I know you gave one last year, but I want to know how much water we have left. And have we got any new updates if we're going to be receiving any water?
Those are great questions, Andrea. Thank you for asking. I do not know the current status of Linda at this time. As far as I know right now, she is still a board member. She has moved out of the area. She works full-time in Tennessee and lives in Tennessee. As far as I understand from the legal side of things, she would be ineligible to be a board member at this point, but the ball is in her court for her to resign. And to this moment, she has not resigned. So I hope that answers that question. Question number 2 about Kern. Kern is going very well. We've had more updates with Kern. We don't discuss those in open session, but things are going very well and it's very promising. And I'm hoping to have a final contract, our final negotiated contract ready to present soon, but I don't have an exact date yet. And then David, maybe you can answer where we stand with our water allocation. I think you'd be the best person to explain that, where we are right now.
Yeah, thus far, we don't have anything different than how we've been proceeding. So I would imagine that the same limitation that Kern imposed this year to, was it 200 or 250 acre feet, is probably going to be the same thing moving forward. Now, to the extent you had a question about how much out of that water, the initial allocation we still have moving forward, I frankly, I don't know that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Chad is next.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask, since you're moving now, Matt, I believe, and Chris is moving, what's going to happen with the board now? How are these officers going to be appointed in the future?
That's a great question. Mr. Hobbs, would you like to chime in on how that occurs upon resignations of board members and appointments?
Yeah, generally speaking, once there's actually a director position open, which as of this moment, there aren't any, the board has the option to go ahead and appoint from within. And the way that works is once there's a vacancy, they post notice of when the board intends to do that. And 10 days prior, they post notice at that meeting where that happens. And then if they don't appoint somebody, then I believe it falls to the county board of supervisors to do so.
So is that going to cost us extra money now to have this election with these officers leaving, or is it free, or how does that go about? Because now you have Linda, Chris, and Matt.
Well, again, though, no, I get that, but as we sit here today, there are nobody's resigned. Everybody there, we still have a full slate of directors. Assuming there is a resignation, if the board opts to appoint somebody, meaning the board selects and the board chooses who fills out the remainder of that term, then there is no cost. If it went up to an election, then there would be a cost, but that's up for the board to decide once there is actually a vacancy.
And basically, remember, all 4 seats, all 4 seats are going to be on the election here in November. So whoever gets appointed to the seats that are up for re-election this November, there will be a November election. So there might be.
Matt doesn't put his fucking camera on anymore.
Well, you knew that was going to happen.
Can we mute phones, please?
So,
so basically, if somebody's appointed, let's just take Linda, for example. If somebody's appointed to Linda's seat, that seat is up for re-election in November. So they would only be appointed to that seat until November. And then that person would either run or somebody else would run. And then depending on how the election goes, they would then win another term of 4 years.
So is this which meeting is
I'm
this?
trying to talk, but somebody's talking over me.
This is the water district.
Hey, Chris, can you mute Mr. Ellerby? There we go. I think it's from them.
I just had two more quick questions, if you don't mind, because I tried to bust home to get
Sure.
to this meeting so early. The new rate increase that you guys voted for, is it true that the commercial rate for the water that the HOA is paying now has gone down and not up?
Yes,
That
that
is
correct.
That is crazy. It just really pisses me off that
Well,
two of you
but-
board members that voted for this garbage are now moving and selling your houses. This is ridiculous. I just have to say, this is bullshit. You know,
Okay, well-
Matt, you stuck us with this deal with Angels Crossing, and now you stuck us with this rate increase that all these big lots have to pay for, and the small lots have to pay a little bit. Then the HOA, the next biggest water user, their rate goes down, and then all of a sudden you guys decide to tuck tail between your legs and move out of here. That's a real great deal, you guys. That's
Okay,
bullshit.
so Chad, let me answer your comment. First of all, the reason the HOA, we dropped a few pennies was because the rates were going to go up on everyone about $35 plus the water usage. If we would have raised the rates on the HOA, everybody's HOA bill would have went up to pay for the landscaping. And I believe that is your company. We would have had to pay for more money on the HOA side. And so, you know, I understand that you have a stake in that as the owner of the landscaping development, but we wanted to make sure that the people of Diablo Grande were treated fairly. And if their water rates were going to go up, we did not want to see their HOA rates go up at the same time. So we gave a few pennies discount to the HOA. It's not that much, to ensure the people would not be screwed. So that answers that situation. And as far as you judging why we're leaving, well, you can judge away, but you don't have the facts. Thank you.
No, I do have the facts. I do know what's going on.
Okay, next person is Ivan.
You can cut me off all you want, Matt. It's chicken shit.
You
can you
had
hear me?
1 minute. You had 1 minute, Chad. You had.
I don't
can you hear
care
me?
what I had. I never get a.
Hello? Can you hear me?
You are
Yes, can
next.
you hear me?
Ivan.
Okay, my question is for Mr. David Hobbs. In the bylaws, it says no person shall be qualified to hold the office of director unless he holds a title to lands contained within the boundaries of the Western Hills Water District. So if we have directors now that doesn't hold a title, shouldn't they resign?
So the first answer is that bylaw was amended by operation of law. The way the water code works is that once the petition was approved by the county and the board authorized its resolution to the county, that it effectively has amended that bylaw. Secondly, so that's kind of a non-issue. The only qualification at this point for being on Western Hills Water District directors that you're a resident of the district. You don't have to own land.
But Mr. Hobbs, I'm looking at the bylaws with the amendments, and it clearly states.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is that those are automatically changed by operation of the law. That's you can.
So wouldn't the change be in the bylaws right now? So I can read that and see that in black and white?
Actually, actually the water code speaks to where you don't have to amend the bylaws because the water code trumps what the bylaws are. But that's neither here nor there. To your point of whether or not somebody could or could not be on the board if they weren't, if they didn't have the requisite qualifications to serve, the board could ask somebody to get off if they chose to do so. But if the person doesn't relinquish that seat, the Western Hills Water District would have to file a lawsuit to have somebody to step down. It's called an action in quo warranto, and you basically have to go. You have to ask the attorney in general to intervene, and then you basically have to pick up the lawsuit. So we haven't had to cross that threshold yet.
Okay, thank you.
Chris, can you bring DL on?
Sorry, yes. There you go, DL, you're good.
Man, I'm just curious. That's gonna cost $30,000 for a recall. You're moving. People want you gone. Why don't you just resign and save the water district $30,000?
Yes, I will be doing that as soon as I am no longer eligible to serve on the board.
Why not just do it now?
I will do it when I'm no longer eligible to serve on the board.
All right. Well, then second question is, you said that our HOA dues would have gone up had you done the water deal differently. I don't think my water bill would have doubled like it did this last month. I don't think my HOA bill would have doubled. My water bill did, but I don't think my HOA bill would have. Because how much of a percentage of our HOA goes to the water district or pays?
Randy,
goes to the water,
Randy,
water
aren't you in the estates area? Don't you pay 136 a month?
Correct.
Yeah, your bill wouldn't go up because you don't pay for water through the HOA.
No, I'm talking about my water bill doubled in February. It doubled. We're not even using water. Basic stuff to barely keep the grass green. And it doubled. So my HOA bill, even if it wouldn't have doubled, it wouldn't have been as much as my water bill. So how much of the water bill are we charged through the HOA? Like how much of our bill for water?
You're not charged anything, Randy. Neither am I. We both pay the lowest rate.
That, but
We both pay the lowest rate in the community, dude. We don't have automatic landscaping and watering.
We have to pay for right. We have to pay for that. So I get that, but how much of I'm not talking about us specifically. I'm talking about for the whole area. How much of the HOA bill goes to the water? Because they said it went down. Chad just said it's they're paying less now. So how much money are we talking?
I honestly don't know. I think
I believe it was less than $1 difference from
it was
or less. It might have even been in the cents.
It was some commercial rate that the rate consultants said was congruent with normal standards. And you know how it is. We have to go by what they provide us in terms of the standards. That's as far as I know. But what I can tell you is that any increase would have been directly reflected in HOA dues, no question about it. Unless, of course, the HOA was just going to eat those costs, which I highly doubt it.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead,
Chris?
Julie.
I hope you guys can hear me.
Yep.
So I kind of mentioned this at the last meeting that in the open session, and I just want to say respectfully, because this is kind of why I wanted this whole thing tabled, and it does, unfortunately, it really does have something to do with it, because I talked to HF&H. And one of the reasons is because the commercial rates did go down, but HF&H seemed to be under the impression that there was barely any use on the commercial, but that's not true because the hookups are commercial to residential homes. So there's a difference. And in any other area, you would have commercial areas being like maybe a hotel or whatever. But one of the problems that I foresee is we are charging raw water rates for people who are receiving treated water in all of the residential areas that are having landscape maintenance at the HOA. So I understand, I know Chad's upset, and it's not because he has some interest in it, it's because he understands it. And he understands that the way the money is going to work out is there's a reduction for treated water an unfair manner, and everybody would agree, regardless of whether or not they're getting front yard maintenance. They're going to say, why do I get to pay raw water rates for treated water? It's over 200, maybe 250 homes at least that are going to be paying raw water rates for treated water. That's unfair to everyone else in the community, including themselves. So that's the point that he's talking about. That's the point he's trying to make on that. And so I think that's something that respectfully, I think we should have gone back to the drawing board to take a look at. The other thing that I know that Randy's talking about, that he's upset about, and a lot of people rightfully so, are because of the size of their lots. And the property characteristics were never taken into account. In other words, a 3,000 square foot lot gets to use a hell of a lot more water for their inside and outside to maintain their property and take regular showers and use all of that before they even go into tier 2. Whereas a much larger lot for somebody who's required by the HOA to maintain their yard and already put a lot of money into their yard now has to look and say, well, how much water do I get to use inside or outside? Because nobody took into consideration the characteristics and the sizes of those properties and an average use rate, like other water districts do take into consideration the average use that they may have maybe for a 3-year period, and then they determine the tier levels and when that lot hits that tier level. So if you're in the state of California and Gavin Newsom says everybody needs to cut down 25%, that means 25% of a 10-acre lot or 25% of a 2,000 square foot lot. You don't make the 10-acre lot use only the amount of water that the 2,000 square foot lot is. And that's kind of what has been implemented. So I think that's why people are upset and why we should have gone back to the drawing board. That said, that's all I want to say about it. So
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate that. All right, we have come to the end of the folks. Is there anybody else that has a question that has not spoken? Everybody had one chance to speak. All right, Mr. Oliver. Chris, can you unmute Mr. Oliver?
I did, yeah. I asked. I can only ask to unmute.
Oh, got it. There he
okay.
is.
There you go, Mike. You're good.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Matt, here's my question. Obviously, the negotiations with Kern and the negotiations with Patterson are very important moving forward for the water district. And with you and your situation, and I'm assuming selling your house, you'll be leaving, in the near future. My concern is who else is involved in the negotiations that's still going to be on the board, so that we feel confident that these deals are going to go through and the water district is going to be, in good hands.
That's a great question. Again, we had a discussion in closed session tonight, and the deal is moving on very well. Pretty much we're waiting for the final from Kern. Basically, if I could say it, we probably are at about a 95% agreement with everything. So it's almost done. And we're just waiting for Kern's final approval, so to speak, and any little changes that they might still want to make. But if all of that comes together, there's a very good chance that we could get this over the finish line before folks resign. I don't know that for a fact. But if we were to resign, Chris and I, for example, I know Julie will do a tremendous job, and she will bring it across the finish line. I am 100% confident in her and her abilities. So I'm not concerned about it. Our consultant is not concerned about it. David Hobbs is not concerned about it. I don't even think Julie's concerned about it. I believe we're all on the same page, and we know that this is a great deal, and I think it'll do well for the community. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I believe that everything will go well. I don't think it's about any specific person or specific board member, because we as a board have understand this deal, and we all understand how important it is to get it across the finish line and how great of a deal it is. So I think we're going to be good. And so I would just encourage everybody to steady the course, and it'll get across the finish line.
What about Patterson?
Patterson is a situation where we are just now beginning to get deeper into the communications, and I think that one's going to take a little bit longer. And so, again, I will not be here for that at all. And I believe Julie has a great handle on that particular situation, and I trust her immensely in bringing that deal across the finish line. I really do. I think she's going to do a great job. And whoever else gets on the board will also be a part of it. But Julie, I trust her 100% on that.
So Julie's on the phone. Julie, do you concur with everything Matt's saying here?
Yeah. I think we'll get it done.
Okay. Thank you.
Brian, I think, have we heard from Brian?
We have not. I'm
Okay.
unmuting him now.
All right.
And thanks, Mike.
I have a question about a complaint process. Is there any formal complaint process that could be held for the public to write formal complaints about the water district or the board or anything?
David, would you like to discuss that or answer that or say anything about that?
I mean, your best option would be to put something together in writing and send it to the board. It really depends upon the nature of the complaint.
All right. Anybody else have a question that has not had their voice heard? All right. With that, a motion to adjourn. Our next regular meeting will be Wednesday, April 13th, 2022. Do I have a second for adjournment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next month.
Good night.
Good night.